Hi, dear brothers and sisters. We're just going to look at our vendors and how we shall progress with the decision that we shall finally make. And following the first step that I had to perform, I looked at the capital and operation expenditures, where in our business we need to have the following capital expenses: building up the new structures, which are the storage buildings for our products and raw materials, buying the new trucks that are going to transport our raw materials and even the finished goods. By leasing more land, if possible, we can buy, and then installing the electricity power that will be on our new locations. And the major reason as to why we need those ones is because we are aiming at expanding to new locations, and because of that, would need the trucks to transport more materials. Then we are going to incur the costs that will be there for installing the power. Then when we come to our operating expenditure, we are going to have the salary for additional staff, so the electricity bills, because we are going to be consuming more power here, medical bills, insurance bills, the tax which is going to be raised as well. Then we come to the potential vendors that I selected. I considered Microsoft Azure and then Amazon. These two leading cloud service providers. And then when it comes to our variable and fixed costs, we have buying or leasing land, electrical power installation, buying new trucks, and then paying off some services like subscription, which normally don't change. And then the variables are going to be salaries for the employees, which can change somehow, somewhere. Then the medicals and insurance bills, electricity bills, costs and maintenance of our trucks. Then the license model that we're going to have, we're just going to have a subscription kind of license model where we shall be only subscribing and paying either monthly or yearly, depending on the terms and conditions agreed. Then we're going to have the evaluation of our cloud vendors, and following the recent project that was carried out uh, during the non-productive environment for around 10 days, it came to my notice that all the service providers, that is Amazon and Azure, performed to our expectations, whereby since we are interested in a compute service and storage service, realized that for the AWS, that is the Amazon, which is just using the EC2 for compute and Elastic Block for storage, and then the other one, Azure ends up using the blobs for storage, and then they all worked fine, and then they performed well. That proved their concepts. However, we have to move on to another step such that we can decide which vendor we're going to select. And when I went further, I just tried to look at their charges. And when I looked at their charges, I found out that for AWS standard, it is paying for around 450 terabytes per month. It is charging 0.021 per GB, implying that for a month, we have to spend this amount of money. When I multiply 450 by 0.021, I end up getting these dollars. That's 9.42 per month. But when I compare it with the Azure, paying the same amount of storage capacity, for these ones, they are charging 0.0173 per GB. That means that when I multiply by 450, I end up getting dollars 7.785 per month, which is relatively cheaper as compared to AWS. Then I also went ahead to look at the compensation time in case they fail to meet our expectations. We have the uptime percentage and then the service credit. So when I come to, this is for Azure, um, if I pay for the uptime percentage as 99.9, they are going to refund around 25% if they fail to meet. And if I pay for 99%, then they are going to pay for 50 compensation. 95, then they are going to pay for 100. But when I come to the Amazon counterpart, here we have less than 99.99, they'll pay only 10. Then for 99.0, you pay 30, and then for 95, that's when you pay. So you find that there's some kind of remarkable difference between the two. And for Azure, we find it's relatively a little bit higher percentages as compared to the other one. Then when it comes to the service legal agreement, their levels of performance, we find that for Azure, when it comes to the compute power, it uses the virtual machines, whereas the Amazon is using the EC2 instances. And when it comes to the storage solution, these ones are using blobs. And then this one is using Amazon S3 and Elastic Block. And when we come to the nines, yeah, they all range from 99.9, that is 3 nines to 4 nines, meaning that we have got minimum downtime. So when it comes to the compensation time, it's very clear here that we're having higher charges here or higher percentages here when it comes to Azure. And when it comes to the Amazon, the charges or the percentages are a bit low. So I'll just, because of that, I'll just decide to second or go by the Azure because I'm trying to see some benefits here as in comparison to the others in terms of storage, charges, in terms of the compensation. So I'm trying to realize some kind of difference. And when it comes to migration, I would advise my business counterparts, we adopt hybrid migration, which implies that we are going to have a combination of the lift and shift and rip and replace, where we will shift and lift and shift. We're just going to have our applications just directly migrated to the environment without any kind of customization. Whereas for the rip and replace, we're just going to redesign for those ones which are not compatible to the cloud environment. And then we work out our solutions from there. And then, so thank you so much for listening.